All right, so we're going to continue on with moving that template into our Rails project. We did quite a bit. Let's go ahead and run it and see what it looks like so we can remind ourselves. See if it actually comes up here. And that was all stored in which file? Where's the main page for the site? Views? No, for the whole entire site. It's a template thing, right? And it's in the layouts folder in the views. So this application.html.erb is the master page. That's the layout for the entire site here. So this is what will be displayed on every page. And so, did that not work? Daggone it. Sorry. Let me, all right, so here is the project, awfully big, but this is my web page now that is displaying both the layout.html.erb, the application.html.erb in the layout folder, as well as the specific controller's view that I want to see. So in this case, I'm looking at the say controller and the hello action, and that hello view then is in the views under say, under hello. So this text here gets displayed inside of our yield. Remember that? So now we have a yield here. All right, and we fixed up some of the images yesterday, or last time. Let's just redo that. We did the cowboy up image using the alt tags, separate alt tags. Let's go fix up the images that are down here as practice. So I need to do an image tag. Oops. Image tag. And we give it the name of the tag is going to be ad125.jpg. We can leave the alt alone and the size alone. Let's see, they don't have sizes on there, so let's just leave it. So that takes care of this guy, except that he has a break here. Oh, he does 4 of them here, see that? So we need 4 of these guys. And then he does a break, whoever wrote this. So we'll just copy that and delete these 2 lines here. And then looks like he had another break here. All right, so that should fix up these little images here if I reload that page. So now I have my little images here. So everything is looking pretty good. I have a size out here for some reason. Why is that? I probably had that in a comment up here. Oops. Yep. There it is. Just hanging out there. I was showing what it did. So let's get rid of that, and we're all happy again. Yay! So let's continue on and work out some of these links to start with, okay? So we want these things to go somewhere else, some other link. And we did this a little bit here with a link to that we created here. Teach Dave goes to the Dave controller and the teach method. So that lets us link back and forth. So we would need to do that and have links going to these various places in our site. And where would we do that? Where are those links stored? Nope. In the views, okay. And Where is specifically the HTML for this stuff here, this navigation bar? Okay, it's still in the same file that we're working in because the nav shows up on every page, right? So this is the nav. That's the new HTML5 tag for navigation. And it has the LIs in here and the hrefs. Okay, so these hrefs need to go somewhere else, right? Need to go someplace. Yeah, that means it go to this page on this location. That's all that means. It's a named link, which doesn't have a name, so it just reloads the same page. Or doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere. So, useless, right? Doesn't do anything. So we can change some of these. Let's say we want this to go to let's say I would change it and I want to go to my Dave Teach link because I have that, right? So how do we create links in Rails? Okay, so no, not quite. We did it in the hello. We created this link using the link to method. Remember that? Link to lets us create that URL for us automatically. So let's go and change this to a link to. So we want to run the link to method. And where do we want to link to? Let's close our ERB. Is going to be like in our hello path, we're going to call the Dave Teach path. Remember we talked about the routing a little bit? The Dave Teach path is defined where? The routes, right? So let's rerun that. Routes, that rake task. Run the rake task of routes. Remember that created a file for us? And that will give us the text for the paths for each of the controllers that I have in my site. All right, so I have a Dave Teach path, goes to Dave.
That was your rake route?
Yeah, I did a tools, run rake task, and then type routes. So this is running rake routes is what they call this. And it will execute, and based on the routing file that we had, and where is the routing file stored? Nope.
Oh, let's see.
Nope. It's not in the helpers. It's in the config file under routes.rb. It's all right. You'll get used to this one. And these are all the routes that I created, right? So this goes to the Dave controller, and this is the teach action or the teach method inside that Dave controller. And so this tells you the controller and action that it's going to. This tells you what the public URL looks like, what the users see. And this is internally creating a method for the path that I can use in my link to calls. So Dave Teach path or Dave Teach URL. I can change that in here. So I want to link to my Dave Teach path. And I want to call it something like Teach Dave, so it's something different. All right, so let's go look at reloading this page. And I did that here. So it says, let me enlarge this. It says Teach Dave, and it's going to the link Dave/teach. All right. So if I click on that, it'll take me to that controller. So I'm able to now modify this, all of these links to go to a specific spot. And I do that in this application nav section. All right, later on we'll move this to another place, a lot like we did in PHP, so that it's in a single helper method that we can call later on. But for now, this is easier to think about if it's just in our main layout page. So I would change all of these links to go to different places based on this link to method. All right? Any questions on that? No?
I don't understand why you can't just drag and drop it in there.
Drag and drop. You have to go take ASP for that.
I already took that.
Yep. And how'd that work for you?
I don't know. I made money.
There you go. That's good. You make money wherever you can make it. I prefer to make money on something that's fun rather than not. So ASP is not fun. All right, so let's, the first part of your assignment is, let's go look up your assignment here and make sure that we cover all of this. This is we're going to convert your HTML file into this. Well, that didn't help very much, did it? That's just too small. So here it is. This is your assignment. And we're going to take your existing HTML site that we had, and we're going to replace all the image tags and the link to, and we did the style sheets and the JavaScript yesterday. And then we're going to create a controller that has views for all the pages. All right? So let's create a controller, and we're going to call it page. All right? I'm going to show you how to do this time. Exactly, so that everybody's up to speed. All right? So we need a pages controller. So how do I create a controller? All right? New, we want to run the Rails generator. I can right-click actually on anything over here. I want to run the Rails generator, and I want to run a controller. And my controller is going to be called what? Page. All right? And the action names are going to be, what do you think? Methods, right? But what are we going to call them? What do you think we'll call them? About us, right? We're going to call them the names of the pages we want to go to. Doesn't that make sense? So that the URLs look like pages/about us or pages/home or whatever. So let's create a bunch of these guys. So we need a home action. We need a about us. Now it has to be a single word, so I'm going to use an underscore. Contact us. Products. Newsletter. Blog. All right, and log in. All right, we'll just call it login for now. All right, so that will create a bunch of actions for us automatically. We'll say, okay, create that sucker for me, and it's going to generate code in my controller file folder called pages. So I now have a page controller, and I've got all of these actions created for me. Isn't that sweet? And in the views, I have a new page folder with all of the HTML created for us. Isn't that sweet? Right? So this home page, if I click on the little link here in RubyMine, takes me to the page folder home.html. So this is the page file, the view that's going to be inserted in there. So let's go look at it in the browser for now. And how do I get to the pages controller? Okay, page / home. Okay, let's go to home. And it's already got my information around it, right? My Chrome, my good-looking stuff around it. But the view is being displayed from the home.html.erb. So that's the text that's being displayed as part of the yields. Remember the yield around all of this stuff. All right, so if I go to About Us, I see the About Us page. Which one? This one? I don't know, some CSS artifact. I have no idea. I probably haven't fixed that part in the CSS yet. So I can go to Articles. Bada boom, bada bing. Isn't that great? So I've created my entire website with one command. And the only thing now that I need to do is continue on with that and change my navigation. So each page should have a navigation section with links to other pages. All right? And then we're going to store that as a partial. We'll talk about that in a minute. So let's continue on with using now this page and creating links in my navigation section. So let's rerun the routes and see what I have now that I have this whole bunch of new stuff in here. And if I look at my routes file, you notice it created all of these page / somethings, one for each of the actions that I created. So now I've got methods, a bunch of them. I've got page / home through login. Those are all brand new for us. So the link to go to page / home is going to be page _home _path. Remember, we add the path at the end of this variable name, this method name. So this is like, this is the prefix to path or to URL. URL. It's there's a difference between the two, and it's hard to show in a web browser. But URL is if I do page _home _URL, I get a fully qualified URL, which is http://hostname/ whatever. If I use _path, I get just /, it's a relative link to the site, /page /home. So that's what I get back. So let's use these prefixes here, these methods, in our link tos and modify our navigation here. All right, so our home should go to home. So we need to make this a link, right? So we change it to a link to, and we want to go, the name of it, we want it to be home. That's the click text. And then we want it to go to page home path. All right? Everybody see that? That's the click text. That's the stuff between the A tag, like here. That would be this stuff here, the stuff that you see on the screen that's clickable. All right, so let's go reload that, see if we got something right. All right, so we have home, and it's pointing to page home. So I click on that. It takes me to page /home. No, this is a CSS thing that's causing this to show up. So we'll fix that later. But right now it's useful to see that. So we would just modify this link. Notice the way this navigation structure is set up is that if I have a unordered list as a sublist of an LI, it becomes a submenu, right? So in this case, I hover over About. I've got these 3 links under here. That's a submenu. So Teach, History, and Vision comes from this set of 3 LIs. Everybody see that? So I can create a submenu automatically, and the styling for this is already done for me because I copied it off the internet, right? The styling already handles the drop-down of the CSS for me. All I have to do is change the links of where they go to. So you can modify this however you want and make this look whatever we want to look like. So we have products at the top. I don't want any submenus under products, probably, so I'm going to take that out and change this to a link to. And then we're going to go to what's the name of the variable that holds that path. Path. All right. Then I'm going to put this li over here. Then I might have articles maybe. So I'm going to change this to link to articles. Page underscore articles path. And then we'll delete this whole submenu as well. We've got to contact us. Link to contact us. Yeah. All right, so that's a few of them. Let's reload our page. Now I've got a home, about, products, articles, contact us, and it's flipping on another site here, another line, right? And that's because of these extra things here. But I would continue on and add all the links that I want into this navigation. I'm not going to do them all. Obviously, that's just repetitive. I think you get the point on how to change these. Any questions on that so far? Yep. Right.
What if we have styles for our selected link, which is in the layout of the application?
So it's a selected link, right?
Right.
So it's going to change.
Then we have, if you're currently on the home page, all the information that is displayed dynamically is contained in the specific view.
Right.
But I want styles on the application layout.
Okay. Yep. You're jumping ahead a little bit, but that's the kind of thing we have to do. We have to know what he's saying is that if I go to About Us, maybe I want this About page to look different, to show the user that I'm on that page, right? So we might change the class of that based on where we're at. And so we'll get to that. We'll do that later. Yeah, we'll do that programmatically, exactly. All right? So any questions on all of this stuff so far? The next thing I want to do before we get to that is to move this into what we call a partial. This is like including text or programs from another file. And most Rails programmers like to have a lot of these little partials laying around because we know now that the navigation could be reused on multiple pages. But in this case, it makes our main application page smaller and makes it easier to understand. So if I want to go change the nav, I don't have to search through all of this text to find the nav. I can go straight to the nav partial and look at all the text specific to that. Now, RubyMine has a really nice feature, at least it used to. I want to refactor this piece, so I select the piece I want to have. I'm going to refactor the entire nav, and I want to extract it into a partial. So a partial is kind of like a method, but it's... hello, did it work? Come on. All right, so we name the partial, we're going to call it nav. And it should create All right, so it created a file called _nav, and this is one of these naming conventions in Rails. Partials are separated out. They're known as a partial if they start with an underscore in the name of the file. Okay? That's to separate them out when I'm looking at lists of things, that this stands out as a partial. I know that's a partial as opposed to an entire view. So let's look at this file now. This is all the code that I selected on the other page. And what it replaced it with was this line of code. All right, this is ERB again. This is a method saying, render me this partial called nav, and put all of that in place of this. So this is a lot like a yield, right? Take all this code from the nav html.erb file and stuff it in here where this place is. But the reason we do that is now I should never have to come back to this application file to change my nav. I only do it in my nav file. So everything about the navigation could be done in this one file. So it's a way of segregating out pieces to make it easier to manage. So it's a management issue. All right? Any questions on that? So that's a partial. That's like a method. It's like including a piece of code in PHP. It's doing the same thing the yield does, right? Essentially, yep. All right, yeah. Yep. Oh, let's make sure our browser still works, by the way. Uh-oh, got a problem. All right, so the error, that's pretty small. The error says missing partial page/nav. It doesn't know where that is. Okay, so the problem is that when RubyMine created it, it put it in this layouts folder instead of this page folder. But we have a problem because both of these places kind of need that. So we're going to move this file and into another folder. Let's create another folder because that one layout is really shared by both of these views. So I'm going to create a new folder, and this is the way a lot of people do this, and I'm going to call it shared. So now I have a shared folder in my views, and I'm going to move my nav into that shared folder. Now I have to change my partial include, because partial by default looks in the same directory where this file is. So it's looking in this layouts folder for nav. It can't find it. So I have to tell it that it's in the directory called shared nav. All right, so that should fix that. Yay. So now I have my navigation again. Everything works. I've got my home, my about us. Come on. Goes, nope. Products. Products goes to products. So some of them work. I didn't fix them all. So any questions on that?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you were mapping your browser,
Oh, yeah. So you had a question about the browser. Yeah, sorry about that.
if you were dynamically creating the sponsor links, and you would use a partial to
Correct. Either a partial or we can actually create a method that generates HTML. So we'll do that later. But we can generate this kind of stuff dynamically. Maybe we have an add method that pulls from an ad database, and you can do all kinds of stuff with that, all dynamically. And that might be in a partial or a helper, which we'll talk about later. Right? Any questions on that? So why don't you guys? We'll deal with that dynamic stuff tomorrow. Why don't you guys finish this out because that's part of your assignment, and see if anybody has any questions. I'll be here through the rest of the hour. All right, any other questions before I quit?